long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
You like me because I'm a scoundrel. There aren't enough scoundrels in your life.
I happen to like nice men.
Nice man.
Very nice.
So this story came over from Inside the Magic, LOL, and I want to kind of talk about it because it's interesting. It's obviously clickbait. Galaxy's Edge closure imminent, reopening uncertain. When you read the article, nothing of the kind is told. But it is interesting what they tell you in the article. The article is basically the fact that Rise of the Resistance, this vaunted ride where you run around on a thing and you get shot at by First Order stormtroopers, and you see Kyle Ron in animatronic form leering at you from a scaffold or some shit like that. It's such a poorly configured ride, and they haven't been able to fix it in A mode, that they've been running it in B mode, which the cannons on the AT-ATs don't work. Kyle Ron hasn't moved in years. Okay, this is a relatively brand new ride. And when you look at why they're not fixing it, it's because they literally have to close the ride down and lose millions and millions of dollars. If they have it in B mode, they still have people who will go on it. Okay, it's a metaphor, in my opinion. It's a metaphor for how bad the sequel trilogy is. But when you look at the people who've gone to Galaxy's Edge and then post on Reddit and other places that they were disappointed with the Rise of the Resistance, it's just another lesson in how badly Disney handled the sequel trilogy. Okay, first off, if you looked at the box office, big fucking deal if it made $1 billion. You gotta look at the numbers of how much each movie cost, how much they all cost together, and add the price of reshoots. Okay, the marketing. Okay, the movies didn't make any money. Don't give a flying fuck what the left-wing shills think. It's in black and white. You don't have to be an accountant or have an MBA to know that. I mean, any housewife who keeps the house budget could read that number and cringe. Okay, it's housekeeping 101. All right, so you've got this ride, and it's running in B mode. Okay, it's a metaphor for how Kathleen Kennedy has run Lucasfilm. It's just dull. Okay? And it can't be back to being exciting until she's gone. All right? Now, you know, that house that they're selling is sold. All they have to do is get to closure, and papers need to be signed, and loans need to be looked at, and la la la. And the big meeting where everybody signs papers and money is exchanged happens, and then it's gone. Then what? You know, then what happens? Galaxy's Edge is a metaphor for Kathleen Kennedy's running of Lucasfilm. It is an allegory. Okay. It is half-assed. Okay. The fact that Disney can't and won't shut this stupid ride down, I don't care how much fun it is. I wouldn't go on it because of what it is. What you see. It's not Star Wars. Okay, it's not Star Wars. Who gives a fuck about the Resistance? Nobody cares about the Resistance. Okay, I don't, you don't. All right, you might have Star Wars Holocron, Retini's Holocron, Jason Ward and the rest of that sewage bilge screaming about the sequel trilogy, but they don't have the narrative anymore. Okay, and when you look at the black pills, they don't either because they wouldn't see what I'm seeing here. There's something going on here. This is literally the physical manifestation of everything Kennedy did wrong and everything that Disney did wrong. Okay? This was not the Star Wars we wanted. Okay? I mean, if you could do a Jedi mind trick with her, probably could get her to do anything you wanted if you actually did it. You know, where's Qui-Gon Jinn? Where's Obi-Wan? Where's Luke? This is not the Star Wars we're looking for. This is not the Star Wars we're looking for. Could you imagine how hilarious that would be? But this is the manifestation of Kennedy's failures. Okay, and it's breathtaking. It's not just the fact that merchandise that nobody wants Rey merchandise. Nobody wants anything to do with the sequel trilogy. All right. Nobody does. And we all know the reason why. Yesterday's uploads were the reason, okay? They've turned Star Wars into a woke cesspit. Cesspool.
One more crooked word. Your tongue could open a wine bottle.
I just drew a pentagram on the floor and chanted, "I summon thee," 3 times.
I mean, when you look at what these people on Reddit are saying, the ride is going to be without its most cool effects in a couple years. They can't make them work. And they're in B mode now, but what's the big deal? All right, big deal. Disney is not going to go back in A mode for whatever reason. You and I all know the reasons. All right, so this is my theory. And I just thought of this, so bear with me, because it'll probably change. Disney has a ride based on something no one likes, except for purple-haired weirdos and angry little girls who have cow's rings in their nose. Okay? For whatever reason. And they don't even go to the movies, they don't buy the merchandise, whatever, they just want their fucking recognition and validation. They're weak sauce. Couple years, Kathleen Kennedy will definitely no longer be listed as president of Lucasfilm. They're going in a different direction, even now we can tell. Now, the black pills can scream, it all leads to the sequel trilogy, duh! Because they need money. I mean, look at them. Does anybody honestly think some of these guys have real jobs? And of course you got the shills who want to be validated and hate Star Wars. You will never get me to be convinced that Star Wars Explained, Jason Ward, and the rest of that bilge like Star Wars, okay? Because they've gone against everything it stands for, okay? They didn't appreciate the hero's journey when it was Luke. But God damn it, if it's Rey, oh boy, okay? Fuck that shit. As Mark Hamill said, wow, orphan from a desert planet has powers she can't think that the orphan can't explain. Finds a droid with a secret, and they team up. How fresh is that? Oh, wait, she's a girl. That's it. That's all the reason why they like it. Okay, then you add Admiral Gender Studies, Rose Mao's fourth wife, Tico, and cheap bullshit that J.J. Abrams added because he couldn't figure a way out of the mess that Rian Johnson put him in. And you're left with what the fuck? Okay? You're left with what the fuck? There's a reason why people don't want to be part of this anymore. It's not Star Wars. Now, fine, the ride might be cool, but, you go on it and you're if you're a fan and you feel empty and hollow after you get off because you don't feel like you experienced anything. You aren't immersed in the world because you don't care about any of these characters. And look, the only reason why anybody cares about Rey is not because she's a good character. It's because she's a whammon. And she's the avatar for all these weak sauce bitches who've never really done anything in their lives but demand validation and pretend they're victims. Okay, or actually think they're stronger than men. No, you're not. You're not physically stronger than a man. So please fucking quit it, okay? I mean, you put Gina Carano in a fight with a 120-pound guy, she might beat him. You put her in a fight with a 200-pound MMA champion, she'll get her ass kicked. Okay, she's gonna hurt him, but he's really gonna hurt her. Okay, it's the law of nature. Okay, but we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about what's wrong. What's the theory is? The theory is in a couple years they're going to reskin the entire park back to what it should have been in the first place, Tatooine. And the Falcon will be Han Solo's Falcon. And Rise of the Resistance may be turned into the Battle of Endor or whatever. Okay, it might be whatever, all right? We don't know. But when you think of what they could have added there and what they didn't is horrifying. What you think they could have added to the park, like they could have done a whole Cloud City thing. Dinner with Darth Vader? How about a high-class restaurant on Coruscant? All right? Where the Senator Palpatine shows up. What about a Jedi training camp where Obi-Wan shows up with his Padawan, Anakin Skywalker? Anything that would have been able to bring people in. A real cantina where you get to see Han Solo, take out Greedo, okay, and not animatronic, all right? The stuff that would get people inspired. But instead we get Rise of the Resistance in B mode, which is a metaphor for the sequel trilogy and a metaphor for how badly Kathleen Kennedy shepherded the franchise and the studio under her lead. Okay, that's what this is. That's all it is. It's a metaphor for sequel trilogy Kennedy era nonsense. And every time I think of her marching in to Bob Iger's office, telling him, we have more movies ahead of us than behind us, and I think we should do Galaxy's Edge and blah, blah, blah. And they do it. And what do they have? People want to take their kids to it, but the kids don't get to see C-3PO and R2-D2. They don't get to, the fact of the matter is you want parents to have nostalgia, right? You want them to share their experience with their kids. This is to borrow a phrase of a guy who I despise unreservedly, Barack fucking Obama. A teachable moment. Parents sharing what they loved about Star Wars with their kids. Not some thing centered on a generation that has no grasp of the past and no grasp of meaning. All right? All this is giving into Generation Z's and the millennials' sense of entitlement and narcissism. And it's empty and shallow. Which is what they are. Okay? That's the problem. Galaxy's Edge is a metaphor for Kathleen Kennedy's unmistakable failure. Okay, and Disney's screwed because if they shut Rise of the Resistance down and fix A mode, they're gonna lose millions of dollars. So they people aren't happy with the B mode. It doesn't work, and pretty soon none of those effects will work. Think about it. What kind of allegory is it being set up for? This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.